Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table because we're ready. God, hey, hold on, y'all. I gotta get myself together.
Silly.
So now, okay, your world sounds great. It sounds too good to be true. It's amazing that you see the world and not just, and you're not a black and white. I honestly was seeing if you were like the black and white person. It's because you're a lawyer, because it's a certain, like you said in the beginning, it's a certain set of rules that you have to follow. And so does that usually change the person that you that works with that type of setting? You know, that you adapt to your surroundings in order to survive. And so it's like, would that alter you? But it hasn't. And that's that's a crazy thing. Yeah.
It could be disheartening sometimes,
Yeah.
but you just always have to have the next step already in place. So I might have to make a decision, or I might have less resources than I felt I deserved in this moment for whatever my endeavor is. But for me, as long as I'm planning for the next stage to make it better for the next time, or trying to change a policy or break down a barrier, then that gives me that hopeful optimism that I think you're feeling from some of my teachers.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Just because it's bad today doesn't mean it has to be bad tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. And
yeah.
Okay, where did you get your degree from in law?
So I went to Cooley Law School right here downtown in Grand Rapids. I was one of those students that had to work full time during college. I took off a year, did AmeriCorps, worked full time in law school. So like when I tell you the struggle was real, and those books you were talking about were the biggest, thickest books in my life. You know, Swiss Army backpack saved my life and my back. Right? So it was really interesting because most of us had jobs. And I remember one time I was late for my final exam because I'm a manager, right? I'm a manager. I was in the housing field at the time. There was a housing crisis. My staff needed me. I could not leave. And I remember my professor gave me so much grace when I walked into that classroom to take my final exam.
That's what's up.
It was probably the most heartening time that I ever felt seen in the classroom, because he came up to me, he said, "There is no penalty. You're doing God's work. Take your exam."
That's what's up. That's what's up.
And I've never had that type of support in the classroom whatsoever. I'm always the only little chocolate drop. I have professors who don't understand where I'm coming from or my world, and I'm usually the youngest as well, because this is the evening weekend program. We talking people second careers. We're talking like I didn't really have any peers aside from one lady that I made a connection with, and we're still cool to this day, and our law firms support each other. But it was a hard journey. It was the most difficult time in my life. It was probably the time where my health was the poorest. My mental and emotional health was probably at its lowest, just because self-care is a privilege, and I always say that, right? And when you're going literally 24/7 and you're lucky if you sleep 3 hours, there is no time for yoga and all that other type of stuff. And you know, it's not a popular opinion when people are like, self-care this, self-care that. I'm like, one, it costs, it's a time thing, and it's just not always accessible. So
but it's not always accessible, but it's a necessity.
It is, but a lot of
crazy as it sounds,
that hasn't been available to us. So I just you know, so it was a tough time to put a pin on your question. It was hard, but I knew that it was what I needed to do to reach the level that I knew I wanted to be on professionally. And remember, we had it kind of tough in Detroit. I also knew where I wasn't trying to go back to. So there was no room for failure.
That's a good pusher right there. You know, I like how you channeled that your living stability, your living situation, how your upbringing to feel you. I know that's the typical thing, like this is how you make it and you got to keep pushing, but everybody don't make it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just be real. Like you can have the same scenario go on, but it's whatever that person personally has, that grit about you, that's going to push you to that next level. And
You're exactly right.
you see in entrepreneurship, everybody wants to have their own business, right? But I feel like everybody can't is not ready to start a business at this particular time
You
because
know,
because of how the mindset is. They don't, once it gets tough, now that's where you really go see if you got the grit. You get what I'm saying? When that money ain't
100%.
coming in, when no contracts slow down a little bit, you know what I mean? Are you able to keep that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to I do visioning every year in every aspect of my life, personal and professional. And I put it on the board and I put it up. And it's the first thing that I look at every morning so that I'm refocused and saying, this is where I want to be. And, words and images to see it and believe it and place myself there. But you're right. There are a lot of people who struggle or fall off along the path because it does take a lot of grit. It does take a lot of intentionality. You have to steel your heart for what you're trying to do. You know what? I didn't get to be popular during the years I was in school. I didn't get to come to every party. I had to put strain on friendships and family relationships. Every family reunion wasn't something I could go to. Every birthday party wasn't something I could do. 4th of July means nothing to me. I have a test today, right? So it's all
Right.
of these things that you can't be a social media popular star and really try and launch your business unless they're interconnected. I had to say no a lot. Like, you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to prioritize. You have to be able to allocate your resources. And sometimes I see my peers really struggling with that because they feel so beholden to other people. And I'm like, the first investment you have to make is in yourself. Anyone who falls off along the way wasn't meant to take that journey with you. And then we can give back. And I'm finally in a position to where I've done that work and now I can see myself giving back because I was able to, hold fast to what the goals were. It's like I said, it was a hard time, but it
Yeah.
was worth it. I would never change it. I wish my journey didn't have to be so hard. I wish that I didn't have to work my way through my
Man,
education.
don't we all? Don't we all?
It would have been nice. And I went to Calvin College, so I have students sitting next to me talking about, you're only here because, my parents are paying for all these scholarships and stuff, like super disrespectful stuff.
What? Time
I'm a
out.
black girl.
Flag on the play. You
Yeah.
got somebody told you that in class?
In
Wow.
class, I'm the professor and was like, some of my friends don't get to be here because people like you are here. And not even knowing, first of all, I'm on academic scholarships. When people wanted to know where Ciarra was, they didn't call my cell phone. They walked in the library and they knew I was in my little area all the time. Like, I needed to maintain my scholarships to make it through school. I did not live on campus to cut expenses. And I had to help take care of my brothers too, right? I was not the typical college student. And
Man.
the adversity that we were up against, my incoming class was like 8 African Americans, tons of international students, but like African Americans local here, it was like 8 of us.
Wow.
So no community really,
Right.
really. So it took so much internal, this is my path. Best education I could have ever received educationally. But when it comes to like that social piece, setting me up for success and all of those other pieces that you would expect your college to give to you, not so
What?
much.
Wow.
Yeah, but it's okay because that wasn't my path and I was meant to forge my own journey. But law school is pretty much the same
Okay.
experience, just different level. It makes you wonder about your people and the people that we're living with, because
I
you
bet. I bet, because I bet you meet during that time, did you meet like no, let me rephrase it. During your internship, did you have an internship did you have to do?
I did. I clerked during law school. So I clerked for Rhodes and Key, which is a local firm downtown, which was a really great experience.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
I was about to
Yeah.
ask you, did you have any, what type of experience did you have dealing with, certain clients? Were they rude to you? Were they?
You know, I will say that even asking about the clerk opportunity, a lot of Black attorneys or students are going to say they didn't have that opportunity because remember, I worked full time. So I had to
Oh
quit my
yeah. Yep.
I
Yep.
had to quit my job so that I could take a 3-month clerkship on a hope and a prayer that I would have employment again to meet all of my responsibilities afterwards. And I was privileged. I did have my mom who made a connection for me to have a job right after my clerkship ended because she knew how important it was for me to take it. So just that barrier in and of itself, like if I take this
That's what's
educational
up.
opportunity, I am not going to be able to take care of myself. I have to quit my job. So the way it's set up is not set up for non-traditional students. But the people I interacted with, 100%, I had some great interactions. I was a clerk, so I was always working under another attorney because I couldn't just like go off on my own.
Oh,
But
okay. Okay.
so that was always a good experience. I had really good lawyers over me. I will say when I started my own law firm, I have fired clients. Let's say that. I we can leave that there, but it you have to interview your people very closely.
Right.
We are more of a values based law firm, so we
What
need
what
to be.
what is that?
So we operate with a mission and a vision at our law firm. So
Mm.
access to justice, equity, all of those pieces. So if I have someone who comes in with a need that goes against equity and inclusion, like maybe they want to make a more strict HR or hiring practices, or they want to put things in place that I know create systemic barriers for disenfranchised populations.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not for that, so I can't take that client. But
I
if I have
respect
people who,
that.
yeah,
I
like that's
respect that.
important. So yeah,
Wow.
that's that.
That's Man, you're like you're like the superhero in law. Like, like that's what I'm gonna call you. That because not try to make you feel uncomfortable, but that is exactly what we need. I feel like that type of mindset, that type of thinking. And you ended up creating that same space of your own. And what is your law firm called?
So it is Acme Law.
Yeah,
And
okay.
same thing. So it's Acme Consulting, Acme Property, Acme Foundation,
Y'all hear
and
it? I told you you're a hard worker. Y'all hear it?
so I think that segues into the name because it's the same definition, the pinnacle of excellence. But I
Right.
said
Hmm.
I looked at my own name. It's Ciarra. It's 2 R's. It's not spelled commonly. Why are you interrogating a 5-year-old on why her name has 2 R's in it? Why are you othering me before I knew what the word othering meant? But I just knew I was uncomfortable. And I'm like, my mama made it, right? Like, so when I got older, and because, when you do that self work and things like that, I said, I'm creating a platform. I need to name this, and naming is so important, right?
Right.
So I said, I'm going to honor the history of the Black culture and community and how we have always had such unique, beautiful spellings of names and word, like all of that. So I took ACME, same definition, pinnacle of excellence. I changed how it's spelled to honor my ancestors.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Yes.
Okay, okay. Because I didn't want to. I never thought of it like that. I never really. And I know better. Because y'all know my logo. Y'all know it. I got
And I
the
love it.
icon.
And I love when people ask me about it because I get to tell the story and I get to help people challenge the way they look at names and spellings and things like that and the assumptions or biases that people have. Because every single business, when we think about the definition, pinnacle of excellence in law, pinnacle of excellence in philanthropy, and we're telling ourselves that, and our staff is seeing that, and they know they need to operate on that level.
Mm. And so that is what is that called? Your workplace saying. Or
Yeah, that's our mantra. That's our slogan.
right.
So
Okay.
AQUME Law is really just, having that access. But for AQUME Foundation, our logo is philanthropy looks like me.
Okay. I like that.
That's our slogan, our logo, our mantra, everything that we do, it looks like me, because we're trying to change the narrative. Because when it comes to philanthropy, even though we're here in West Michigan, second most philanthropic place in the nation, literally, a lot of people don't know that. But where do you see in 2023 that a Black foundation has been lifted up, or another foundation of color has been lifted up?